So I'm going to tell you guys the story about how my dad was first published as an architect at age 28. So when my dad was in college, he originally started going to college for engineering and civil engineering. But he quickly found out that it wasn't fit for him. He was told by one of his professors, hey, you're failing every single one of your math classes. That's a problem. But you're passing all your drafting classes. I think you might be at the wrong school. So my dad took that to heart and said, I'm doing the wrong thing. So he changed his major and decided to go to architecture. So let's fast forward a couple of years, and he's about 25 now, and he just graduated and is a young, budding architect in the city of New York trying to find a job. Luckily, he had some connections and landed a job with a group called HTI Design International, which was a pretty reputable firm in the 70s and 80s because they did a lot of upscale like department store remodeling or like condos. And my dad somehow, don't ask me how this young noob of an architect got selected for this project, was tasked with handling the lead design role of the remodel of the Marshall Field store in downtown Chicago. Before I go into about the Marshall Field store, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the building originally. So the Marshall Fields building complex was originally a group of 5 buildings constructed between 1888 and 1920 by a famous architect named Daniel Burnham. What was really, really cool about these stores is the way that they were designed. They have a huge 5-story atrium in the middle with a 600 square foot Tiffany & Co. glass skylight, still the largest one of its kind today. And when you're tasked with how do we refresh a almost 100-year-old building in 1986 while keeping true to the character of it, you're asked a couple questions. So my dad went to the drawing board, had lots of long nights with some coffee. I don't know, he hasn't told me the entire story. But he figured out, you know what? I'm going to try to do this design and figure out how much of the original building that I can keep. So when he came up with this design, it was originally slated for 5 years. But what he did is he reused a lot of the old materials in the building, trying to revitalize it while keeping the classic Marshall Field style. He also took a loading dock in the middle of all 5 buildings, a gross loading dock, think about it, and he converted that into a huge outdoor patio between the buildings that had a cafe and then seating for when you were done with your shopping. And because of this, it was pretty radical at the time. So it was pretty successful. And he actually finished it 4 years instead of 5 years with the original construction plan said. And because of this and how unique and non-normal his approach to this entire design was, it really, really took off in terms of like architectural publications, and word of mouth just sent this thing out like wildfire. And then eventually this was published in 3 different articles. He was published in the Chicago Sun at age 28, and then the same story was published in Architectural Record, a leading design magazine, when he was at age 29.